Mississippi nights weren't always quiet on In the Heat of the Night. Sheriff Gillespie and Detective Tibbs were an unlikely but dynamic duo solving tough cases, while the show fearlessly addressed big issues like racism and violence. It ran for years, and the cast members became like neighbors to us. Sadly, some of these cherished actors are no longer with us. Here's a look back at some of the cast members we miss from In the Heat of the Night. Burgess Meredith as Judge Cully. You might remember him as the cranky Judge Cully on In the Heat of the Night, but Burgess Meredith was a Hollywood legend for way longer than that. This guy started out on Fire on Broadway, then took his talents to Hollywood in the 1930s. We're talking starring roles in classics like Of Mice and Men. Seriously, the guy even trained G.I. Joe for a movie. But his most iconic role came much later, the unforgettable, tough-loved boxing trainer Mickey in the Rocky movies. But Burgess wasn't just a movie star. He was a TV regular from the very beginning, way back in the Golden Age. You might have seen him in legendary episodes of The Twilight Zone, or shaking things up as the villainous Penguin in the 1960s Batman. Even in his 80s, Burgess wasn't slowing down. His role on In the Heat of the Night wasn't just a guest spot, it was a comeback for the ages. He even went on to steal scenes left and right in the hilarious Grumpy Old Men movies, proving that you can be a grumpy old man and still be a total legend. Burgess Meredith passed away in 1997, but his legacy as a versatile and scene-stealing actor lives on. Ed Grady as Dr. Cameron. Much like his fellow actor Dan Biggers, Ed Grady found his calling in film later in life, after a rich and fulfilling career in education. Born in North Carolina in 1923, Grady's life was a tapestry of service and passion. He served in World War II, a testament to his dedication and resilience, and upon returning he pursued studies in theater and English at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. Grady's teaching career began with a brief tenure in New York, but the South called him back. Throughout the 1970s, he shared his knowledge and enthusiasm for the arts in classrooms across Morganton, North Carolina, and Keenan, South Carolina. But it was in 1979 that Grady's life took a dramatic turn. At the age of 56, Grady made his film debut in the low-budget horror flick Wolfman. This marked the beginning of a 25-year journey in film and television, with Grady becoming a familiar face in productions across the Carolinas and Georgia. Fans of In the Heat of the Night might recall his appearances as Dr. Cameron in seasons 4 and 7, along with roles as two other characters in seasons 2 and 6. Ed Grady passed away in 2012 at the age of 89, leaving behind a legacy of dedication to both education and the arts. Dan Biggers as Dr. Frank Robb. Most actors dream of the big screen from a young age, but Dan Biggers? Forget the red carpets and flashing lights. This Georgia native, born in 1931, had a whole different path in mind. Biggers dedicated himself to education, serving in the military, and then shaping young minds as a teacher and even a college dean. He started small, taking part in local theater productions and eventually landing a role in the 1982 TV movie Made in America. This was the spark that ignited a 25-year acting career. Biggers became a familiar face in Georgia productions, playing supporting roles in movies like the Oscar-winning Glory and the quirky Southern favorite Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. Biggers' big break came with the hit series In the Heat of the Night. When the show moved to Georgia for season 2, Biggers landed the role of Dr. Frank Robb, the medical examiner. He kept the town healthy, on screen at least, for a whopping 43 episodes. Sadly, Biggers died in Rome, Georgia, in the morning of December 5, 2011. Ted Manson as Elmer. Ted Manson, a Columbus, Ohio native, discovered his passion for acting while studying at Ohio State University in the 1950s. However, his path to Hollywood wasn't straightforward. Manson first built a career in real estate before moving his family to Atlanta, Georgia. There, he reignited his acting ambitions, making his mark on the local stage and in film and television. Ted Manson's journey from real estate to the silver screen is a testament to the power of perseverance and passion. He passed away in 2008 at the age of 81 from complications related to lung cancer, leaving behind a legacy of memorable performances that continue to entertain and inspire. Lois Nettleton as Joanne St. John. Lois Nettleton, a beloved veteran of stage and screen, brought warmth and depth to Season 2 of In the Heat of the Night as Joanne St. John, the local diner owner and occasional love interest of Carol O'Connor's Chief Gillespie. In a gripping twist, her character's scandalous past was unveiled in the episode AKA Kelly K, prompting Joanne to flee Sparta in shame. Though she made a few more appearances that season, her character's journey was cut short. Nettleton's personal life was just as rich. She was married to humorist Jean Shepherd, whose 1966 book In God We Trust, All Others Pay Cash inspired the beloved holiday classic A Christmas Story, which he co-wrote and narrated. Their partnership was a blend of humor and heart. Lois Nettleton passed away from lung cancer in 2008 at the age of 80, leaving behind a legacy filled with unforgettable performances and heartfelt moments. Dennis Lipscomb as Mayor Jim Findlay. Long before In the Heat of the Night, Dennis Lipscomb wasn't exactly chasing police drama. This classically trained actor with a background at the prestigious London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art was more at home treading the boards than navigating a Mississippi town. In fact, his first major film role was opposite Blondie's Debbie Harry in the 1980 neo-noir thriller Union City. Lipscomb landed the role of Mayor Jim Findlay in the debut season of In the Heat of the Night. However, the first season had some growing pains, with star Carol O'Connor expressing concerns about the scripts. The show was revamped for Season 2, and unfortunately, Lipscomb's character was one of those written out. That didn't stop Lipscomb from building a solid career as a character actor throughout the 80s and 90s. He popped up in films like Walter Hill's Crossroads, the Oscar-nominated A Soldier's Story, reuniting him with future Heat co-star Harold Rollins, and even the cult classic horror Retribution. Lipscomb's final TV appearance was on the legal drama The Guardian. Sadly, he passed away in 2014 at the age of 72. Margaret Bly as Gillespie's girlfriend. While In the Heat of the Night only offered a glimpse of Margaret Maggie Bly as Chief Gillespie's unnamed girlfriend in Season 1, her career was far more substantial. Bly wasn't just another pretty face on screen. She was a force to be reckoned with. Hailing from Texas, Bly launched her career in the 1960s, securing a role in a Tennessee Williams adaptation. But her talent quickly propelled her to international stardom. By the late 60s, she was sharing the silver screen with heavyweights like Marcello Mastroianni and Michael Caine in films like Diamonds for Breakfast and The Italian Job. As the decades shifted, Bly transitioned to television, appearing on shows like The Rockford Files and even miniseries. However, she wasn't afraid to embrace the darker side of acting. Horror fans may recognize her from the chilling The Entity in the 80s, and she even dabbled in the horror comedy genre later with The Ginger Dead Man. Sadly, Maggie Bly passed away in 2016. Mel Stewart as Calvin Peterson. Mel Stewart's journey to becoming a familiar face on television screens wasn't a straight shot. Before joining the cast of In the Heat of the Night, as Althea Tibbs' father, Calvin Peterson, Mel had already carved a niche for himself in the iconic sitcom All in the Family. There, he wasn't just another resident on Archie Bunker's block. He brought Henry Jefferson, brother to George Jefferson, to life, adding another hilarious dimension, and perhaps a touch of friendly competition, to the family dynamic. But Mel's talents extended far beyond the world of situation comedies. He kicked off his career on the prestigious stages of Broadway, belting out tunes in the Langston Hughes musical Simply Heavenly. This wasn't just a brief foray. Mel possessed a natural stage presence that led him to hone his comedic skills further with the San Francisco-based improv troupe, The Committee. However, it was television that truly became Mel's home court. After his scene-stealing stint as Henry Jefferson on All in the Family, Mel became a regular fixture on various network shows. He brought his comedic timing to the Bewitched spin-off Tabitha, and displayed his range with a recurring role on the 1980s spy dramedy Scarecrow and Mrs. King. Mel never stopped working, and his final on-screen appearance came alongside the comedic powerhouse Whoopi Goldberg in the 1993 film Made in America. Stewart's final role was in the 1993 Whoopi Goldberg comedy Made in America. He died in 2002 at age 72 from complications due to Alzheimer's disease. Howard Rollins Jr. as Chief of Detectives Virgil Tibbs. Howard Rollins stepped into some mighty big shoes. Taking over the role of Virgil Tibbs in the Heat of the Night from the legendary Sidney Poitier was no easy feat. Tibbs, a sophisticated detective from Philadelphia, was sent to clean up a Mississippi police force. Rollins brought his own spin to the character, making Tibbs a bit more open and less fueled by anger than Poitier's portrayal. Before Heat of the Night, Howard Rollins was already building a strong career. Born in Baltimore and trained at Towson University, he made his mark in the 1978 miniseries King. He also earned acclaim for his roles in films like Ragtime and A Soldier's Story, even working with the same director who helmed the original In the Heat of the Night movie. Tragically, Howard's personal struggles with drug addiction began to impact his career. Arrests and legal issues forced him to exit Heat of the Night after season 6. He made a few guest appearances later, but his career was cut short. Don Ferguson as Kevin Riley. Don Ferguson wasn't just your typical Hollywood actor. Sure, you might have seen him in movies like My Cousin Vinny or on shows like Cheers, but before the bright lights, he was a respected stage actor in Savannah, Georgia, bringing characters to life on the local scene. Interestingly, Don also had a passion for basketball. He even spent 10 years as an NCAA referee, which actually helped him land acting gigs later on. Talk about using your skills in unexpected ways. Sadly, he died of a heart attack on 1st October 2008 in Savannah, Georgia, USA. Fran Bennett as Aunt Rhoda Gibson. The incredibly talented Fran Bennett, who graced our screens as Rhoda, Virgil Tibbs' aunt in the Heat of the Night, has left a lasting legacy in the world of performing arts. With a career spanning a whopping 8 decades, this lady was a force to be reckoned with, both on screen and off. Fran's journey began in the vibrant city of New York, where she trained under the renowned Kristen Linklater to become a voice teacher. Her talent took her to Minneapolis, where she spent 12 years as the voice and movement director for the Guthrie Theater. But her adventure didn't stop there. In 1978, she headed west to California, landing a teaching gig at the California Institute for the Arts, CalArts. And that's when her on-camera career really took off. Her final bow on television was a memorable one, playing Mother Jefferson in ABC's live restaging of All in the Family and The Jeffersons in 2019. Fran Bennett, a true performer until the end, left us on September 11, 2021, at the incredible age of 84. Carol O'Connor as Chief William O. Bill Gillespie. For most actors, landing the lead role on a hit primetime drama that runs for years and racks up Emmy Awards would be a dream come true. But for Carol O'Connor, it was just another day at the office. Born in the heart of Manhattan in 1924, O'Connor had an adventurous start, serving in the Merchant Marines during World War II. But his true calling found him when he caught the acting bug during a trip to Ireland in 1950. He enrolled at University College Dublin and never looked back. In the swinging 60s, O'Connor was a Hollywood regular, making guest appearances on shows like Dr. Kildare and Ben Casey, and even snagging roles in blockbuster films like Cleopatra and Point Break. But his big break came in 1971 when the legendary Norman Lear offered him the role of a lifetime. Enter Archie Bunker, the grumpy, bigoted family man who became the centerpiece of All in the Family. O'Connor's portrayal of Archie struck a chord with audiences, even if some mistook Archie's controversial politics for O'Connor's personal views. He embodied the character so well that he later reprised the role in the spin-off Archie Bunker's Place, which ran from 1979 to 1983. After Night wrapped up in 1995, O'Connor continued to grace our screens with appearances in various series and films, including a notable role as Helen Hunt's father on Mad About You. Tragically, his son Hugh's death prompted him to become a vocal anti-drug advocate. O'Connor's remarkable journey came to an end in 2001, when he passed away from a heart attack at the age of 76. Chuck Hicks as Red Jack. The legendary stuntman and actor Hicks had quite the impressive background. A true American hero, Hicks served in the U.S. Merchant Marine during World War II and later joined the Navy, where he became the boxing champ of the United States Fifth Fleet. Talk about a 1-2 punch. But his athletic prowess didn't stop there. After his military service, Hicks attended Loyola Marymount University, where he continued to excel in both football and boxing. His achievements were so remarkable that he was eventually inducted into the university's Athletes Hall of Fame. And if that wasn't enough, he even played semi-pro football for the Eagle Rock Athletic Club. Hicks's journey into stunt work and acting began with a bang. He landed a role in the iconic ABC television series, The Untouchables, playing federal agent Lamar Kane in the first season. From there, his career took off, and he became a sought-after stuntman and actor. His son proudly shared that Hicks passed away peacefully in Las Vegas, Nevada on May 4, 2021, at the age of 93 from complications of a stroke he had suffered the previous year. Hicks's legacy will forever be remembered, especially his contributions to the world of stunt work and entertainment. Hugh OConnor as late Lonnie Jameson. The talented Hugh OConnor, adopted son of Carol O'Connor and his wife Nancy, had a challenging life that sadly ended too soon. But during his time on In the Heat of the Night, he left a lasting impression as the beloved character Lonnie Jameson. Lonnie, a.k.a. Hugh, started his journey on the show as a patrolman, but by the end, he'd risen through the ranks to become a lieutenant and acting chief of detectives in Sparta. It was a role that grew in prominence, just like Hugh's own journey in the spotlight. Behind the scenes, however, Hugh faced a different battle. From the young age of 16, he struggled with drug addiction, and despite going through 3 different rehab programs, he continued to fight this battle throughout his life. But Hugh's story isn't just about addiction. In 1992, he found love and married his wife Angela, and the following year they welcomed a son, Sean, into the world. Unfortunately, the darkness of addiction lingered, and in 1995, at just 32 years old, Hugh died by suicide. The tragedy sent shockwaves through the industry, and his father, Carol, channeled his grief into action. He publicly named Hugh's drug dealer, blaming him for his son's death, and later advocated for a California law that would allow families of drug abuse victims to seek justice. Bob Penny as Alvin P. Epp. The shady characters of Sparta, and none more slimy than the notorious Alvin P. Epp. This sleazy lawyer and real estate agent was the go-to guy for anyone looking to bend the law or break it in Sparta. First slithering onto our screens in Season 3's King's Ransom, Epp was the ambulance-chasing, scheming legal eagle that everyone loved to hate. Played to perfection by the veteran character actor Bob Penny, Epp was the epitome of a shady small-town lawyer. From blackmail to forced evictions, there was no scheme too low for this crafty character. Penny's portrayal of Epp was so delightfully despicable that the character kept coming back, appearing in a total of 7 episodes across both the NBC and CBS runs of the show, and each time, Epp cooked up a new devious plan, keeping the Sparta police on their toes and providing a constant source of entertainment for viewers. Once he retired in 1990, Penny embraced his lifelong love of acting and began to land small roles in major productions filming in the Southeast. You may have spotted him in films like Mississippi Burning, Fried Green Tomatoes, Forrest Gump, and Sweet Home Alabama. His distinguished air and authoritative presence often landed him roles as politicians, doctors, and, of course, lawyers. Penny's acting career flourished in the 1990s, but slowed down in the following decades. His last notable appearances included the Lifetime comedy series Drop Dead Diva and the Billy Ray Cyrus-led Still the King. Sadly, Bob Penny passed away in December 2022 at the age of 87, leaving behind a legacy of both education and entertainment. Kim Hamilton as Ellen Shore. Kim Hamilton was a Hollywood mainstay, gracing the silver screen for over 5 decades. Her journey began in the 50s alongside big names like Rock Hudson and Harry Belafonte. You might have seen her in classics like Something of Value or Odds Against Tomorrow. She even landed a role in the unforgettable To Kill a Mockingbird. Kim kept busy throughout the years, taking on diverse projects in the 70s and 80s. From shows like Executive Suite to movies like Heavy Traffic, she proved her versatility. Later in her career, she became a familiar face on TV with roles on Designing Women and the beloved In the Heat of the Night. Kim even showed she could handle action with appearances in films like The Wild Angels and Future Cop. Her dedication to the craft continued well into her later years. She charmed audiences as recently as 2014 in the family comedy, Dude, Where's My Dog? Sadly, Kim passed away in 2013, leaving behind a legacy of entertaining performances across generations. So that's it, everyone. Gone but not forgotten. These actors left a mark. Share your favorite memories in the comments. See you next time.